We made USAA Insurance to help you save. Take advantage of discounts when you cover your home and your ride. Discover how we're helping members save at USAA.com/bundle. USAA. Restrictions apply.
The Shark Deck.
Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Brian Baumgartner, you know him, Kevin from The Office. He says The Office is now bigger than it ever was. That led to the launch of his podcast on oral history of The Office. Ed Helms said that podcast gave us a chance to talk about the show itself, which was a vibrant part of our lives for almost 10 years. In the aftermath of the show, we were all excited and stunned and surprised by how the show lived on after it ended. I really love the opportunity to go in a safe space with Brian and think about it and talk about it. These days, Brian hosts Off the Beat, a weekly conversation with TV's favorite actors. Ed Helms did a podcast called Snafu, which got into the story of a 1983 military exercise that a lot of people claim was the closest we ever came to nuclear confrontation. Thanks for the laughs on a Sunday, John. Ed Helms paid the bills for many years doing voice acting. He said, I was doing stand-up in the trenches making $5 per spot, but I was actually making more as a commercial voiceover guy recording multiple sessions a week for years. I really credit that experience for giving me a weird comfort level with my time in a booth doing the podcast. You dropped the G there, John. Yeah, the Queen's coming out doing the podcast. Brian said, what I love and what I'm trying to capture is a conversation between two people that can't happen with a member of the press. The Queen's came out there again. We can't keep it in today. You're getting Queen's accent Johnny Mac on this Sunday. Brian told a story about Nick Offerman. He said, as many of you know, Nick Offerman works well with wood. Brian said he had the most beautiful Chinese elm tree in his yard. One day it unexpectedly fell. Brian said, the tree was so meaningful to me and my children. I have a connection with my child to this tree. So Nick came, got the tree trunk, and right before he left, in his very Nick way, he goes, it'll be about 5 or 6 years before it's ready. It's been about 5 years and it's on my to-do list, and I keep thinking I should ask him. I wonder what Nick Offerman's making. Barry is back tonight. One of the stars of Barry is, of course, Macpacker Henry Winkler. Henry said, my growing to a more mature self allowed me to become Gene. I wouldn't have done him earlier in my career. I wouldn't be able to taste the juicy details. I'm grateful this was an acting gift given to me. I was 27 when I was the Fonz in Happy Days. I was 72 when I got Gene. What a journey. I'll miss him, but it's the right time to end the series. Honestly, Barry can't get away with much more. As an actor, you try to find a kernel of humanity in a character no matter how much of an a-hole he or she is. Every great piece of literature or character is in you already. That's why they last 500 years. That's why Shakespeare's been around forever. Forget about poetry. Those characters have been sitting around your table when you grow up. You know them in your village, every one of them. That's a sign of great characters and the gift of being able to play one like Gene. I had the same feeling when I finished 10 years of Happy Days. I was sitting in my office at Paramount. I had a production company. I didn't know what to do with myself. Plan A was to live it to the nth degree, and my brain hurt because I didn't know. I had no plan. What do I do? What do I pick? Will it be as meaningful as the character I just played? I'm having that same feeling now with Barry, but with less pain because I'm a little older now. Will I ever do anything as impactful again as this show? What I've learned is, you don't know. Forbes talked to Sam Morril and said, hey, when you riff with audience members during your show, you usually start with what someone is drinking. Sam said, it's their night off. They're loose. What they're drinking tells you about the person. If someone's having a fruity drink, I'm assuming it's been an easier day. If someone's drinking a Long Island iced tea, I'm like, what are you running from? Then Sam usually buys them a drink after roasting them. Sam said, that's my way of saying, thanks for playing along. If they're drinking a really bad beer, I'm like, get them a real beer. Sometimes they'll want me to do a shot with them and they'll ask for a kamikaze. I don't want to do something sugary. If I'm doing a shot, I want to feel it.
We made USAA Insurance for veterans like James. When he found out how much USAA was helping members save, he said,
it's time to switch.
We'll help you find the right coverage at the right price. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Restrictions apply.
Let's take a look at what's happening at the various comedy festivals today. Let's start with Nashville, which I bookmarked. Good job, John. 5 o'clock, Eddie B. Teachers Only Comedy Tour. 5:30, James Gregory. 8:30, Josh Wolf's Extravaganza Bonanza. And that's it. All right. If you and I are there in Nashville, we're hanging, and we'll go see Josh Wolf at 8:30, and then we'll go hang some more. Moontower, what you got? One show only. Samantha Bee, 7 o'clock. If we were in Austin, guess we're doing that. Melbourne, what do you got? The Age reviewed Claire Hooper's Sweet Charity and said, when soft plastic recycling systems collapse, how many folks breathed a sigh of relief? Picking at the scabs of parental and existential anxiety, she asked if it's really going to make you feel better if you graciously pay for $45 of someone else's chicken nuggets while stuck in a drive-thru queue when all you want is a coffee. Is generosity to humanity and our future foolish? Sounds like a slog, but the chuckles keep coming and Hooper leaves us with hope. 3.5 stars. The Age reviewed Lizzie Who's Woo Who. She's at Melbourne Town Hall, and they said Lizzie Who's on the cusp of turning 40, and she's feeling fine. Her set is decorated with bright flowers. Her outlook is sunny. She likes who she is. Let's take a listen.
A few years ago, I found out that I was a POC. Yeah, that's a person of colour. Before that, I was just the Asian chick. And before that, people didn't see colour because HR said we didn't legally have to. I'm a POC, yeah. Feel like I've joined the FBI or something. Like I've watched a recruitment video online. Do you have at least one parent with coloured skin? Were your childhood friends surprised by the smells coming from your home kitchen? Tell me, are you interested in taking advantage of white guilt?
They gave her 3 stars. How about Anthony Locasio? So the headline I saw from Neos Cosmos was the Greek Italian comedian storming the nation. And I was like, who? What? And then I found out, in this case, the nation is Australia. Anthony says, the idea that jokes and stories I wrote in my boxer shorts at my kitchen counter in Rosebery get to be heard in multiple cities by hundreds of relative strangers is something that will never not be cool. In my new show, I tell a collection of stories about some of the most morally questionable things I've done in my life and juxtapose that with material about my current loving relationship to raise the question of whether our sins and transgressions preclude us from deserving love. He added, I'm currently so cold in Melbourne I want to vomit, and I'm going to have to go shopping to rectify it or I won't survive until May. His interest in comedy started when he saw Eddie Murphy Raw at 11 years old. His other inspirations include American comedians Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., and Australians Joe Avati. He's real good, and Carl Barron. Don't know Carl? But it was George Carlin that made him want to try comedy. He said the way Carlin was able to infuse social and political commentary into his jokes, or vice versa, depending on your perspective, was simply revolutionary. Let's take a clip. I had to make some edits here. There's a bunch of F-bombs, but you'll get the gist.
But other than speaking the languages, the only element of my cultural background that existed in my life when I was a kid was the big Sunday lunches. The rule of thumb in ethnic households, I think, is the smaller, the more trivial the celebration, the bigger the lunch we have. So Christmas, big. Easter, bigger. One of my cousins once cracked the top 250 globally ranked FIFA players. We called the neighbours for lunch, right? It's the best. It's heaven for me. It's every part of the kitchen is covered by every yellow food you've ever seen in your life, waiting to be pillaged by conveyor belts of fat wogs queuing up with paper plates. They got to be paper plates, guys, so not ethnic people. They got to be paper plates because these people are just salivating and sweating so much. Paper plates are the only things with enough grip for these to hang on to what they're making. It's amazing. It was the time of my life, but I never realized how special, how unique these lunches were to my culture until the first time I ate at my white friend's house.
And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.
Hello, I am Mark Francis, host of Palace Intrigue, the podcast that delves into the daily drama of the British royal family. These short daily episodes cover the latest news and scandals involving the likes of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Kate Middleton, King Charles, and the rest. From backroom sources to public controversies, we've got you covered. Whether you're a long-time fan or just curious about the royals, Palace Intrigue is the perfect podcast for you. So join us as we explore the lives, legacies, and dramas of the British monarchy. Subscribe now and never miss an episode of Palace Intrigue.